Hello, hello! Welcome back to Let's Play Pokemon Red version for the 30th anniversary of Pokemon. We're continuing where we left off with our simple gift Pokemon party. I recently learned that that is actually the term that they go by. They are gift Pokemon. And we're here in Victory Road, on our way to the Pokemon League. This could potentially be the last episode, if I felt like it, for Gen 1, which I'm actually super tempted about, because I want to do a Gen 2 playthrough. Although, for Gen 2, I will not be using the same premise of gift Pokemon. Not because it's not possible, but just because Gen 2 is a far different beast with a lot more respect needs to be shown, not because it's more difficult, but because it's a much more involved and fleshed out game. It is more or less the foundation for Pokemon. Future Pokemon, that is. All the Pokemon content I've been seeing, it made me realize that oh wait, can I do that without going out? Okay, good. Yeah, all the content I've been seeing from Pokemon made me realize that just like any long-running series, I may have said this before, but any long-running series like Final Fantasy or Pokemon or hell, I don't know, Call of Duty or if it's long-running, just just name it. And it's probably has a split in its fan base based upon time. Because you see, the first games come out and they're intended for children, so the children of the year that they come out on, and over the next few years, are the ones that grow up with the originals. But as the series continues on, the old games go out of print and cannot be bought anymore. And so, of the younger generations, they have to play the new ones, unless somebody older than them introduces them to the older ones. And as a result, new fans will have different nostalgic tastes, as well as different tastes entirely, because they're playing a different generation of Pokemon or Final Fantasy. And the biggest shifts this happened for in Final Fantasy revolves around Final Fantasy VII, but also Final Fantasy X, and I guess nowadays kind of Final Fantasy XIV. There's like 3 distinct fan bases for Final Fantasy now. The real old heads like me, the people who came in on 7 in the late 90s, the youngins that got in when 10 was the new hotness, and then the people who came afterwards with like 13 and 14. But 14 is more of the break, because 13 didn't really bring in a lot of fans, but 14 brought people to Final Fantasy by being an MMO, by bringing in people who wouldn't normally be interested in a Final Fantasy. I'm not exactly sure of the breakpoints for the Pokemon series, but having seen a ton of Pokemon content over the last few weeks, it seems to be that a lot of people in Gen Z, their first Pokemon was Ruby or Sapphire or Emerald. And apparently Emerald version is like considered the bee's knees, and there's a positive feedback loop with it, because a lot of ROM hackers, the Game Boy Advance games and Game Boy games and older games in general, their ROMs are apparently really easy to modify and change in-game content to what you want it to be. And so a lot of ROM hackers ROM hack Gen 3 because the graphics are more pleasing and they're very easy to hack. And what this causes is, you know, in online circles, all of the influencers are talking about Gen 3 as though it is the best thing since sliced bread, because what they do for their Patreon stuff is they do ROM hacks. They make basically new Pokemon experiences with old content. And they can do this with these older ones too. It's just that they don't as often. And when they do, they have to contend with really old code, which is usually bad and mixed up and buggy. And the way we get that other item is we basically have to walk outside and walk back inside, and it's kind of annoying. Not Harden. Whatever will we do? But yeah, as a result, a lot. Apparently, well, I don't know if it's a lot because admittedly, I've only seen like I've been willing to watch 2 or 3 bigger YouTubers about Pokemon recently, and what they say, there seems to be a. I don't know if it's a consensus or if it's just the way these YouTubers view it. But, you know, Gen 1, Gen 2 are messes and not good games and blah 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 as far as, like, the Pokemon battles go. And I don't agree with that at all. I think that's a product of modern interpretations by younger people who came into the series later. Oh, grass is neutral against electric as far as offense goes. That's interesting. Of course, grass is based off special, and you're not getting through Jolteon special in this game. No siree. But yeah, I was actually surprised to hear that someone didn't like Gen 2, and it, you know, it wasn't just like some nobody in one comment. It was like, you know, this big, you know, 300,000 subscribers, like, oh yeah, Gen 2 is a mess, and I grew up with it, and I love it, and I'm nostalgic for it, but it sucks. And I'm just like, how can you feel the need to say that about, you know, your past or your... You know, this Charizard's gonna get fucked. You know, your past or, you know, things that you truly love, right? Like, if you love something, like, yeah, you can admit that it has faults, but why would you say that it sucks, you know? Just admit the faults, move on. But, you know, also point out what's actually good about it, because there's tons and tons of good stuff about the older Pokemon games. And it's just a little bit irritating. Now, as far as these boulder puzzles go, for pushing the boulders around with strength, they stay solved no matter how many times you go up and down the floors, as far as I know, and whether you go out of Victory Road or come back in. So you just have to reuse strength every floor and solve them once. And there's no way to pull the boulders, so yeah, be careful. And we want to get that other item that was on that previous floor, so now the boulders will be reset, and we can get it. But yeah, as far as I can tell, basically people say Gen 2 sucks because it's not Emerald. And all I can think is, you know, I don't see how it could really suck because it's foundational to the rest of Pokemon, like, except for double battling, and then I guess way later the whole, was it Z moves and, not Dynamax. Dynamax was later. Mega Evolution or whatever. The one time, you know, it's basically like Digivolving from Digimon. Pokemon just literally didn't actually come up with anything new. They were just like, oh, what if it was like Digimon and the trainer could just make their Pokemon temporarily evolve into a super form for more aggressive battling. And that's what they did. They stole from Digimon, and they just let you one time evolve your Pokemon basically for the duration of a trainer battle. And it's fun, right? Like the Pokemon change form, and you get to see this cool new form, and like power forms, like is basically Super Saiyan for Pokemon. It's pretty cool, but it's not really innovative, right? Pokemon stopped innovating after Gen 2, in my opinion. And that might sound like a hot take, but if you really think about it, it's true, right? Gen 2 introduces breeding, it introduces day and night, it introduces, box art legendaries being put in your face, and Crystal version in particular introduces you as being the chosen one by like Suicune, more or less. And that ripples forward. Like in Ruby Sapphire, you're the chosen one by the old people at the graveyard to go get, take the opposite color orb and go catch, be the only one who can catch the legendary. And then in Emerald, it's a little bit different, but more or less, like, you get tasked to go alert Rayquaza to the situation, right? Like, he can't just see it or sense it or whatever. Like, oh yeah, the Groudon's sun ability is making the sun extra hot. Which is a baller power move, by the way. Like, everyone always talking about Kyogre making it rain and having control over the water on the earth, but the only way to make sunlight more harsh is to control the sun itself. So, like, of theoretical powers, Groudon from Gen 3 is actually the most powerful legendary because he can control the intensity of the sun. I don't know why he doesn't just, like, I guess his goal is to dry things out, not to kill them. But theoretically, if he were to just crank the sun up hard enough, he could boil the ocean. But yeah, my nostalgia reflex is fully triggered, and I really, really, really want to do a Gen 2 playthrough. And I'm already thinking about how to approach it. I actually grew up with Silver version as my my first Gen 2 that I played through. The way ownership for me of Pokemon games went was basically the very first time I played Pokemon was my friend's red version. Or maybe he had blue. I don't really remember. I know for sure I grinded his Kadabra in Diglett Cave. Like, I've been over that. But basically, I could only play it on, limited time when my friend felt like letting me play it. And I never beat it when he let me play it. I think as far as I got was about Celadon City. And it's not that I couldn't have gone further, it's just he got tired of letting me borrow it. And then eventually he moved away anyway. But so Christmas in '98, my mother, because my father would never buy me video games, not in his life. But my mom, she bought me red, blue, and yellow version. And I was so excited about Christmas that year because I don't remember if she told me or if I overheard it, but she'd said she'd gotten me a Game Boy Color. And naturally that made me inquisitive as to what games she got me to go with a Game Boy Color. And I think it was either July or August, or it was like late summer or very early fall. I don't fully remember. But she went out and did all of her Christmas shopping so as to not have to do it later, and to give herself plenty of time to eventually wrap the gifts. And of course, me being a little shit-heady 8-year-old knew that she'd come back from Christmas shopping, because I paid attention to what's in the bags. And I broke into her closet later that afternoon when she went out to do some other small errand, and saw that she had gotten me all 3 of the Pokemon games. And thus, I ruined the surprise, but of course I didn't dare open them. And being a little shitty kid, I also, when she got home, I was just like, hey, so I peeked in your closet, and I saw that you got me all the Pokemon games. Can I go ahead and play them? And she, she got very upset, and then she told me no, and then she said that since I ruined the surprise, she would probably return them to the store and get me something else. And I was distraught. But she never did. She didn't do that to me. So I threw a little fit, but then, she gave me a stern talking to, and then I was dreading her possibly returning them to the store, and she, made me promise to never try to break into her closet or, like, find gifts early again, and I agreed, and I didn't. And then I was a good boy till Christmas. And, ooh, Pin Missile, that's a bug-type move, but it's super-duper weak, and based off of physical attack. And I guess the idea behind it is to give Jolteon an answer to Psychic Pokemon, but honestly, he's already got Body Slam for that. Because he won't have Stab bonus with Pin Missile, and because its damage is variable, because it's 15 power, and if it's super effective, then it's basically 30 power. So it could be as high as a 150 power move on a Psychic Pokemon, if it hits all 5 times. But something about the way the game multiplies the damage formula, as well as the fact that it could easily just be a 2-hit thing, means that its damage average is actually somewhere around, even as the super effective move, its damage average is somewhere around 60 to 75. And so Body Slam is just more consistent damage with a chance to paralyze. So there's really no reason to learn Pin Missile. And I think back in the day, the very first time Jolteon learned Pin Missile, because I'd seen it in the anime, I thought it was going to be really good. And then it turned out it wasn't really good. And that was one of the first things that made me question, is the anime actually like the game and vice versa? And it's like, no, not at all. Not at all. You'd think I would have questioned that with Onix and Pikachu beating him. Oh, hey look, he told us our rival came through here already. How about that? Pikachu beating a rock/ground Pokemon that he normally can't even affect. And the anime makes it be like, oh hey look, Kabutop's gonna learn Mega Kick. I don't think that would be a good move though. We'll hold on to it. It's a 120 power normal move with 5 PP and 75 accuracy. But the inaccurate nature of it, it's not really gonna outdo something like Slash. And I don't think we want to get rid of any other of Kabutop's moves. I think he's still rocking Toxic. We might get rid of Toxic for Mega Kick, but since we're not really playing competitive, just a little casual gift Pokemon playthrough. Yeah, what was I talking about? I've already forgotten. I'm honestly surprised that my Jolteon's doing so well. We've only had to heal him once so far. Like, he's a really good Pokemon, but he's not very durable. At least when he's up against physical. Good old Golduck. I always thought Golduck was a really cool Pokemon. And I still do think he's pretty cool. But, his first form, Psyduck, is more charming. Hello, Golbat. You've got a really big tongue. Where is your stomach, by the way? Sometimes I think about what each Pokemon will look like if you were to dissect them. And that's when you realize some of them definitely have sort of a supernatural air about them, because a lot of their body shapes don't make any sense. Golbat is like all mouth. He's got little tiny feet and big old wings. And I guess technically ears, eyes, and fangs, and that big old tongue. But it's like, where are your bones? And where are your organs? You should have used Reflect. I don't understand that. You beat all 8 gyms. You get into this cave that is not really... Like, sure, the wild Pokemon are a higher level for the most part than any wild ones you've encountered before. But why would you give up? It's just a cave. You can even just buy super repels. Like, why would you give up? That could hurt. Ouch. Well, that's unfortunate. I guess we'll work on Slash some now. I'd revive Jolteon, but we gotta get in other training, so... Oh, look, it's the fighting type move Submission. It's 80 power, but 80 accurate and has recoil damage, so it's not a bad move, but it's not exactly good. I'm of the mindset that any move that gives you recoil damage should be 100% accurate. I very truly do not understand when they make moves that have downsides and then then aren't stronger than a lot of other moves. And I guess that's what people mean when they're talking about bad design in Gen 1, but meh. Well, I'm glad Parasector is using Leech Life and not Absorb. He's Bug Slash Grass, and he could be doing quad times damage to Slash here, but he's just using Leech Life. Guess maybe he might not learn Absorb in Gen 1. The Spore is keeping us asleep. Man, I might need to bust out the Poke Flute here. There we go. Dugong. this could be bad. I don't think that will be super effective. Good. Really? Well, I guess that explains why the that one trainer in Erica's gym had a hyper potion. I guess cool trainers just have them, or something. I don't know how many they have, but I guess they just have them. Oh, a Chansey. Bye, Chansey. Bye, Chansey. Yeah, Chansey has like no physical defense. She has a lot of HP and a lot of special. No physical defense. And I guess my procedure through getting through here will be either the Pokemon faints, runs out of PP, and to show them that I like them, I'll give them one Hyper Potion apiece. This is actually my first time using the fossil Pokemon in a serious capacity on the first part of the playthrough. Or, well, you know, like for the purposes of getting through the remaining gyms and Elite Four and Victory Road and such. Oh, jeez. It's the wrong time for Jolteon to faint, and for me to be using a Rock/Water type. Oh, but Ice Beam is coming in strong here. Good old 10% chance to freeze. Gotta love it. He's leveling pretty fast. Ooh, Cloyster. Cloyster's got big physical defense. Let's poison it. Get some toxic action in here. Yeah, see? Critical hit. And we're clamped. So it's an extra good thing that we poisoned it, because it's slowly killing us, but we're slowly killing it. Shazam. Ooh, a fire type. Hello, fire type, equal to me in level. You are a good boy and an amazingly strong Pokemon, but you are dead now. I recently saw a video that said that Arcanine was originally intended to be a legendary Pokemon. That originally the idea for what the legendary Pokemon would be in Gen 1 was Zapdos, Articuno, and an Arcanine. And I don't know the mythological purpose behind that, but in Pokedex entries, you can still see that Arcanine is referenced as the legendary Pokemon, quote-unquote. And its stat spread is better than Entei's. So it is actually... it has the strength level of a legendary Pokemon, without actually being one. Giving rise to the term pseudo-legendary. Let's see, where should I push this boulder to? Seeing if there's a switch down here. There is not, so we must need to push it around. and non-Pokemon related news, I'm pretty happy. I have a job interview in about 3 hours, or 3.5 hours, for a commercial kitchen vent cleaning service. It's supposed to pay $20 an hour. It's a nighttime position, which I wouldn't say is perfect, but I am comfortable working nights, so I'm hoping to get it because I am in desperate need of money. Just like this grappler is in desperate need of not getting killed by surf. Like, see, that's another thing I don't understand. If you've made it to Victory Road, you have a Pokemon that can surf. And so, why would you ever have an issue getting through here? It's all Grapplers, Onyxes, and Machaps. The other trainers, I guess, but like, I don't know, like, why give up? I don't understand. If you can get through here, you can go meet the Elite Four. Dun-dun-dun! Pokemaniac with a Charmeleon with the top turnbuckle. Goodbye, Charmeleon. I keep hearing a beeping noise. Ooh, Lapras. Lapras has a lot of HP. Oh no, we're confused. Can we defeat the Lapras? Well, we're confused. Swing. We're already confused, Lapras. Come on, enemy Lapras, you can do it. I believe in you. Maybe you can't do it. Maybe you're stupid. Lickitung. We'll go with the stab damage move. Oh no, it raised its defense. Hey, what's that down there? Oh hey, it's a Machoke. No, that's normal type in Gen 1, so you're boned. Card specification, huh? Well, I never found those to be useful, and I'm not finding them to be useful now. Okay, so what is this little thing right here? Yow! That's not a Pokemon noise. Well, it's not a Pokemon noise by the anime standards. Oh, hello. A Moltres, huh? Well, this is the legendary bird of fire. And due to a programming error in its learn set, it does not learn Flamethrower, and therefore is worse than all of your other fire Pokemon. But it's not really a bad Pokemon per se, stat-wise, it's just a victim to Gen 1's code. And as we are not allowed to catch it, we are going to kill it for XP. Ow, see, look. Did 21 damage to us with a critical hit peck, even though that wasn't very effective. Must have very high stats. Well, must have had very high stats. It is now dead. Boom. We have killed Moltres. We are the Harbinger of Doom. for wild Pokemon. So what's your stats? Pretty dang good. What's your PP's at? Getting pretty low. Yeah, I'll just let him go until he faints. Probably won't be too long. If he fails to one-shot basically any of the wild Pokemon, he'll probably die. And then next trainer battle, if he fails to one-shot it, he'll also probably die. So, he'll be okay. It's not a Nuzlocke. I've never done a Nuzlocke. The premise is interesting, but I don't really jive with it, I guess you could say. And now we'll train our Lapras. And Lapras will be allotted one Hyper Potion. Let's see, do we... No, we don't go down there. Do we go up here? I forget where we've been. Wild Onyx appears. Wild Onyx gets quad hit by Surf. Goodbye, Wild Onyx. You have one of the worst type combos of all time. Okay, so I've already been there too. So... must need to go this way? Even though I've already beaten this girl? I am mildly confused. Somehow I always lose my place in Victory Road in Gen 1, and always find Moltres. But always sort of forget... Oh. That item right there is the TM for Explosion, I think. It's not very good. We don't care about it. Mainly because I don't feel like walking all the way back over there. Whee! Only the Chosen can pass here, huh? Oh, a Kingler. He could one-hit kill us if he's learned Guillotine. Somehow, though, I don't think he's a high enough level to have learned Guillotine. He's got really high physical defense. Guess we'll have to Psychic him down. I always thought Kingler was a really cool Pokemon. Of course, I think anything with pincers is mildly cool. What a funny looking sprite. He looks like he's crossing his arms and judging us. I'll never forget that episode of the anime, though, when the giant Tentacruel... Team Rocket dumps the poison on the Tentacruels, and one of them evolves into a giant Tentacruel, and it's bigger than fucking Godzilla. And you have this, like, interesting, but, like, also unbelievable scene where, like, all of Misty, Ash, and Brock's Pokemon, like, carry flying, the ones that have wings carry ones that don't, and they fly up and they, like, fight this giant Tentacruel. see. What you doing with the level 43 Bellsprout? Do you think you're that chick from the anime that Ash had to beat with his muck? Pretty sure Ash beat that chick anyway. That was kind of my favorite part of the Gen 1 anime, was when Ash got to fight in the Elite, or the Indigo Plateau. It wasn't like Elite Four, it was like a tournament. They had like an anime tournament arc for him. And he would like call back to Professor Oak. He's like, I'm going to use this Pokemon I never used for the entire anime. And it's like, so it doesn't really make sense because they shouldn't really be strong or anything. But he like gets his Krabby, who evolves into a Kingler mid-match, and then wins for him. And then like this girl has a super amazing Bellsprout, and he calls in for the muck that he catches like super early in the anime, and the muck just like fat guy lays on top of the Bellsprout. I'm trying to remember when he loses, but he winds up like he doesn't win the whole tournament, but he gets, I think, if I remember right, it's top 16. So he was in, I guess, the semifinals, right? Because if it's the top 16 trainers, then, you know, they have to face one another, so 8 versus 8, 8 get eliminated, then you have the top 8, who, you know, 4v4, and 4 get eliminated, and so then it's, what, 2v2, 2 get eliminated, then 1v1. And like, I don't think they even named the trainer who won the whole thing. But yeah, he's in the top 16. And if I remember right too, his rival only got top 32. Of course, I think his rival has the excuse that he fought more difficult trainers than Ash or something. But I don't really remember. But the games, of course, they don't have a giant tournament arc at the end of them. You go through Victory Road, and then you face the Elite Four one by one in a gauntlet. Which, it would only really truly be a gauntlet if the game locked you out of item use. Which, if the games actually did that, it would actually be pretty rough. But as it stands, you can use items both in and between battles, and the Elite Four members also use items in battle. Although I think most of them are bugged to use super potions instead of full restores, like in later editions of the game. But there we go, we made it through the cave. And now there's like a statue maze, sort of. And do you think you would have to like go straight? People would be giving up because you have to go straight into fighting the Elite Four, but no, they give you a Pokemon Center right here. It's like, here's the Pokemon Center, I hope you're ready. And let's see. I want to look at what TMs we got because we're going to sell stuff. Yeah, we're definitely going to sell 43. Gonna sell 27. Can anything learn Solar Beam? Oh, our Lapras could learn Solar Beam. But see, the problem with that is it'll take 2 turns to charge, and I don't think there's anything worthwhile using it on, so we're gonna sell 22 as well. Blizzard, on the other hand, we could give that to Slash place of Toxic, and it'll probably be more worthwhile. Because it'll be good for 3 out of 4 of the fights coming up. And Toxic isn't really going to have a place for the most part. Since we're not, again, not in competitive. So yeah, we're going to sell 22. We're going to sell 43. We're going to sell this too. Definitely selling 17. I already forgot what 27... I know 26 is Earthquake. Which... like, I want to give it to Hot Rod, but I kind of don't. And then 27 is what? Fissure? Oh yeah, we wanted to sell Fissure, definitely. Fissure is a one-hit KO move, but it only has 30 accuracy. So you basically have to use it at least 4 times to really see the effect, unless you just really luck out. Now, let's see, we got one more rare candy here. Let's see who's the best candidate for that right now. It's looking like it's our Lapras. Yeah, our Lapras or our Jolteon. I think I'll give it to our Jolteon just to make him level 50. Shazam. Look at that speed. Look at that special. He's amazing. Okay. And then basically we want to buy items that'll help us out. And, see, the justification for the price of the full restore is that it's 3,000 Poké Dollars. And so that costs, it does the same thing as a max potion and a full heal in the same turn. And it wouldn't hurt to have a few of them. But all in all, it's more cost effective to stock up on full heals. And then go somewhere else and buy hyper potions. Which is actually what we're going to do. We also have other things we want to do before we fight the Elite Four, because there's, you know, we ran into that Moltres, right? So there must be other birds to go see. I didn't want to go to Vermilion. I wanted to go to Fuchsia. Oh well. It's not that big of a deal. Let's see, Fuchsia. But yeah, there's a couple of secret dungeons we still gotta wanna do, just to say that we've been everywhere in the game, and also just to fill out our Pokedex with the sighting of the Pokemon. One thing I've never really liked, which I think they changed in later edition of the games, maybe by X and Y, and maybe that's why people didn't like it. Oh, okay, maybe we need the Saffron City Mart then. Basically, your Pokedex doesn't fill out Pokemon information unless you catch the Pokemon. But you can see where you can catch them if you see them. And seeing them, you know, means having an encounter with them. But, you know, in the anime, Ash's Pokedex just tells him what they're like and what they're doing. And so the games, you know, the games are supposed to take place before Pokedex entries are even filled out. And as a result of that, you know, there's some issue, I guess, like because in either version of Red and Blue, you can't actually complete the Pokedex without buying both games in a trade cable or running into friends in real life who have the opposite version and the trade cable and just so happen to catch the Pokemon you need and are willing to trade with you. So in reality, this means each person, if they want to actually complete the Pokedex on their own time, they have to buy both versions, and it's kind of predatory. Every version of Pokemon, every generation of Pokemon has been predatory. And I'll stand by this statement. As much as I love the games, they have always been marketed in a predatory manner. Because it's not just that you have two versions you gotta buy that have exclusive Pokemon, but then they usually release a third compilation version that has slightly updated story, slightly updated graphics maybe additional content they didn't include in the first two versions. And then, to top it all off, the compilation version doesn't even have all the Pokemon to catch still. It also has version exclusive Pokemon, so it still has to trade with the first two versions. And the idea that this was done to encourage people to trade and play with one another, it's kind of evaporated. I don't know if the most recent editions of Pokemon changed that at all, because there's ones on the Switch, which the Switch doesn't have a trade function as far as I know, although you stop needing trade cables by the DS games, which just traded over the internet over Wi-Fi connections. So, I don't know, maybe things have changed, but it's just a little bit irritating. But you can actually see Pokemon that you can't catch in either version, and that's how you know. Like, if you go to the Pokedex and you're like, where do I catch this? And it says area not found, or area unknown, that means it's in the other version of the game only, or only through a trade. Because some Pokemon are only obtainable through trades. And that in and of itself is also, like, in-game trades with NPCs, that is. So that can be a double whammy sometimes, because sometimes an NPC will ask you for a trade Pokemon that you can't get in your version. So the trade is available to you, but you have to trade twice in order to actually get it. So, like, again, the Pokemon series, super predatory. One of the reasons it's sold so many copies is because of that fact. Like, it's renowned for selling, I think, within the lifetime, so I guess for as long as they were manufacturing copies, the first generation of Pokemon sold 46 million copies internationally, like worldwide, in Japan and out of Japan. And you always have to wonder how much of that 46 million copies, was, one person buying both versions. The world may never know. Yeah, we're coming down here to fight these trainers, not to just get ready for the Elite Four, but we're on our way to the Seafoam Islands, which I think you're intended to pass through. You're not intended to just surf south of Pallet Town. That's supposed to be, like, knowledge you realize after you've gone to Cinnabar once. But, I mean, you could have technically realized it from looking at the town map anyway, if you were a smart kid, and had zero interest in going to the Seafoam Islands. Now, the thing I hate about any water region of Pokemon is the way they position trainers in the water. Like, you're out in the middle of the ocean, and then suddenly there's, like, trainers, and they're just sort of there. They're just sort of floating, and they're really easy to miss. I'm pretty sure half my playthroughs of this game, I've missed at least a few of the swimming trainers. Which, I mean, you know, you don't need to beat every trainer to beat these games. But, you know, it's XP left on the table, it's money left on the table. Particularly in Generation 1 where you can't rematch trainers. Something I love about future generations, and it started in Generation 2, is the fact that in later generations you can rebattle trainers. In Generation 2, it's tied to the phone system that they introduced, like a cell phone-like system with the Pokegear. And basically you get a trainer's phone number, and then they, depending on which trainer it is, there's a set list of trainers throughout the game. If you give them your phone number, they'll call you for a rematch. And depending on how much further, I think it's related to how many badges you have, their Pokemon will be stronger than the first time, up to a certain point, I think. In the original version, it might be, because there's memories of the remaster floating around in my head too, and the remaster at this point is like at least 10 years old, if not slightly older. So, like, there's a jumble of memories for me. But point is, you can rematch. If you know which trainers to get the phone numbers from, you can rematch trainers. And at a certain point, it becomes a good idea to delete early game trainers out of your phone and get late game trainers for rematches. It's not always convenient, but it's a thing. And that's Blizzard Gen 1. Woo! I'm just using up Slash's PP, basically. He's gonna run out of PP, and then we'll switch to the next person to train as we move through the Seafoam Islands. Which I really need to bring my Aerodactyl and my Hitmonlee up to speed. If we're lucky, most of our Pokemon will be closing in on level 50 by the time we're done bandying about before we go back and beat the Elite Four. And they'd probably already be there if we had gone on the intended paths. Maybe. I've also always kind of wished that they'd go more in depth on the weaknesses chart of Pokemon. I mean, I like how it's been pretty simple, you know, if it's super effective, it's ×2 damage. If it's, you know, regular effective, there's no message, and it's just, you know, stats playing against stats. If it's not very effective, you know, it's half damage. And then going either way, you know, if the Pokemon is dual type and they resist both types resist the move type you use, then it's 1/4 effective. And then if both types are weak to the type of move you use, it's quadruple effective, and that's pretty cool. But I kind of wish they'd, like, go more in depth and have, like, slightly less effective and slightly more effective move types or something like that. So, you know, to be where it's like slightly more damage or slightly less damage, you know, like, for instance, maybe if you use the same exact type against, you know, like water move against a water Pokemon, then cut the damage in half. But if it's like a different type move and it's not very effective, you know, maybe make it 3/4. effective or something, you know, because it is a different type still, right? There's like no reward for using, you know, like I could be using Surf right now and just doing flat out more damage, even though that makes less sense than Ice, because, you know, just because something is a fish or is good in the water doesn't mean it does well when it's frozen. And, you know, see like tropical fish versus Arctic fish, you know? And, it's just a little bit annoying. And in some ways, in later generations, they add abilities to certain Pokemon, and it doesn't really do exactly what I'm saying, but there's some water Pokemon later where it's like if you use water moves on them, it just heals them because of their ability. And that kind of gets at what I'm driving at, but you know, it doesn't really, right? Like, Splash. No, my name is Slash. Yeah, see, if we went a little further south, there might be more trainers, and I just don't know. I'm just like, I don't know. And I bought those Mac Trapels, and I might be tempted to use them here in a minute. Because this upcoming cave has more boulder puzzles. And is technically, or literally, the first boulder puzzles you can encounter. And it can be pretty annoying getting attacked every 3 steps while you're trying to just move around and push boulders the right way. But yeah, if you go this way to go to Cinnabar, you don't have to solve all the puzzles inside of Seafoam Islands, but you have to solve enough of them to get to the other cave entrance. And it can be kind of annoying. Not supersonic. No. Why is my mouse cursor appearing? There we go. Want to float with me? No, not really. I want to go in this cave. That has the same theme as Viridian Forest. And in here you can run into like seals, dugongs, golducks, a bunch of other Pokemon. Woo! And part of the puzzles in here is basically there's two different holes and two different sections of the cave. And nope, I didn't want to check his stats. I wanted to push stuff down in the boulder. Cool, cool, cool. And you just keep pushing them until the boulders fall down. And more or less... Ew, an Ultra Ball. We're not allowed to use that. Damn hidden items trying to make us catch Pokemon. There's a segment of the cave that has water that's flowing too fast for you to surf. And until you push all of the boulders to the correct... through the holes, then you won't be able to surf up that way. Not headbutt. And this cave system, it is entirely optional. You do not have to partake in it. But as you can see, when this happens, you get no control over whether or not you could surf. You just get forced to the south. And if you read that sign, it'll tell you about... it'll give you a hint on the current or something. Good place to catch a horsey. Not smokescreen. I don't like missing. It's one of my least favorite things to do. This horsey is going to body our Kabutops. There we go. Of course, at the rate we're going, all these water Pokemon we're running into, our Kabutops going to run out of PP. That's okay though, because I'll just train somebody else. Struggle, baby. Yeah. That'll make my Pokemon like me. For sure. Oh, a wild Dugong. You can just, you don't even have to catch Seal. You can just be like, give me a Dugong. Good place to get ice Pokemon. Oh, our HP's beeping. Oh, we're boned. Alright, now we'll work on our Hitmonlee. Got a lot of ice Pokemon around here, and he's got fighting type moves, which are super effective. So we might as well let him kick. And if I get attacked too many times in a row after walking 3 spaces, I will use the Max Repel. At which point, only Pokemon level 42 or higher will be able to attack us, because, as far as I remember, Repels work off the Pokemon level of the Pokemon in the top slot of your party. It has been a little while, but I believe that to be the case. I do not believe that Staryu is half psychic yet, so we will just kill him with Jump Kick. And yeah, let's go ahead and use one of those Max Repels and see what happens. And if we run out of Max Repels, then hey, we run out of Max Repels. Okay, so we came in and we just like pushed the rocks that was closest and then jumped down the hole. So now we need to come over here and push this rock down the hole and do the same thing. Whee! Whee! I'm glad that we don't just like fall through all the holes at once. But shalam. See, now we don't get forced down and we can go over here. And that lets us solve the rest of the same puzzle, basically. And we don't want to push that over just yet, because we want to push this boulder over here. Let's see, this is basically what we came here for. Oh, hey, look, it's another bird. And we'll kill it with our Charizard. He hasn't seen any action in a hot minute. Gyao again, even though that is not what this Pokemon's name is. This Pokemon is the Wild Articuno. The first legendary bird you are intended, I guess, to encounter. And it's ice type, and so it's weak to fire. And it's actually really good to catch because it naturally learns Ice Beam, or already has Ice Beam by default. And it's just really good for the Elite Four. But, again, we are not allowed to catch it, so. Go figure. But yeah, really, the only thing that makes the Seafoam Islands take any amount of time is just the crazy high encounter rate. You know, you saw it. Before we used the repels, we were getting attacked every 3 steps. And I'll hammer that home now by... Okay, that was 5 steps, but whatever. You get the idea. Jump kick a shelter. Shazam. We don't want that move because that move is bugged. What we do want to do is use max repels again. It's just not a good time. And as far as getting out of here goes, you solve that first boulder puzzle, and then you come over to these ladders in particular, and now you're out. So you can fight more trainers on your way to Cinnabar Island. No, I'm not on vacation. I'm on sabbatical. Just like Ross and Friends. Sabbatical. Even though I am not a professor of anything. Shazam. That's right, no mercy. Seafoam used to be one island. Oh, I wonder what split it into two. Could it have been Mewtwo? Or just natural erosion? This guy rode his bird Pokemon here. I don't know how he did that, since the HM Fly does not let you do that, but... well, NPCs aren't beholden to our laws, I suppose. We're fighting with the wrong type. But we have severe level advantage. So his Spheros are boned. Oh, he's got a Pidgeotto hiding away in there. Well, Fearow is a stronger Pokemon than Pidgeotto. Fearow is a stronger Pokemon than Pidgeot, too. Has learned Drill Peck as well, which is the strongest flying move in the first couple of generations. Yep. Now you can't fly, you'll have to swim. And if you can't swim, then you're boned, and we have left you for dead. We are a very, very mean preteen. Jump kick a shoulder. Doopy doopy doo. Oh, I don't want to switch. Let me jump kick more shoulders. Now I gotta jump kick a Cloyster? Okay. I suppose... I don't know if Cloyster has any pearls. I don't remember. But the way clams make pearls, or whatever, you know, that's just like their secretions. They're like saliva that like builds up with sand. I don't remember exactly how pearls work, but... they are bivalve spit. Hey, this guy's telling us information that we already know. Because we're clever. Oh, there's woman. My mistake. Jump kick a Poliwag. Jump kick everything. Oh, we made it to Cinnabar. Go ahead and heal up my Kabutops, because why not? And see, they're just randomly in the water, and they can be too far away from you. You actually have to go seek them out, and it's annoying. Which is why I left them till now. Although I'm also pretty sure I left the eastern side off of Fuchsia City, which has a bunch of trainers with Pokemon slightly lower level than this. Unless I already used those to train the fossils. I don't remember if I did or not. I don't think I did. Although my intention was. We could go check that out, too. Ooh, a Seadra. I always thought Seadra was a cool Pokemon. This guy caught all his Pokemon at sea. Let's see what happens. Oh, it's just a Starmie. Okay. Well, that's half Psychic, so we'll just have to double edge it to death. And he didn't teach it any good moves, thank God. If he'd taught it Psychic, we would have been done for. We're gonna use Repel again, because I don't feel like fighting level 10 Tentacools. Trainers only, please. These fisherman trainers will do. Jump kicking shelters is pretty fun. Jump kicking cloisters is a little less fun. Oh, but it's super effective, so because of the ice attribute. Nice. You didn't mean it, huh? Well, get punked then. Oops, wrong move. Mashing A too fast. Here we go. The sea cleanses his body and soul. Cue ball out in the ocean. How about that? And he was swimming in his full biker getup. What a badass. And he's swimming while holding a whip. No, not poison sting. Anything but that, judgmental tentacruel. A studded inner tube? Get lost. I've like run out of commentary to make. Ah, dear God. Do I really gotta just beat my way through 6 Magikarp because this idiot couldn't evolve them into Gyarados? Have a rolling kick. I feel like they put a fisherman in every generation that just has 6 Magikarps that are over-leveled. It's just like, what are you doing, bro? Just turn them into Gyarados. Then I sometimes feel like evolution does not work the same way for NPCs as it does for your player character. You think about it, right? Like, the gameplay doesn't really change between games, so you're always training Pokemon in the same way as the player. But, like, there's nothing that's said about the training method of other trainers, and whether they train in the same way that you do. And I just wonder if, you know, like, there's alternative in-world explanations for evolution that aren't available to the player that they just haven't bothered expounding upon because it's Pokemon, and Pokemon Game Freak are lazy. But the world may never know. Maybe they do in later generations in like side NPC dialogue or something. Maybe everybody else just has a buttload of rare candies. Oh, I think we're out of them finally. Alright. Well, I suppose we could stop by our mother's house for a smidgen of rest. We have one more optional place we can go, and we might as well go there now because it's not very difficult to go there, and then we'll be out of places to go, and we'll have to go to the Elite Four surely. Okay, we won't worry about that repel right now. Now we will worry about repel. And this is the other not-so-secret area. When I was a kid, and I first got Surf, I was like, oh, there was all that water earlier in the game, near that one Pokemon Center, I'm going there. And I went here right away, and I was excited. I was like, oh my god, a secret. I'm so clever. kick a Rhyhorn. Jump kick a tongue. Get slobber all over your foot. Why not? Hello, level 48 Hitmonlee. High jump kick. Well, surely that must be better than regular jump kick, right? Well, it could be. Let me look it up. I'm pretty sure there's a trade-off I don't want out of that. Let me just look up Hitmonlegion 1. This should tell you how unfamiliar I am with Hitmonlee. Okay, so it's got 5 less accuracy, 5 less PP, and it says stronger than a jump kick, but if it misses, the attacker stands 1/8 of the damage it would have caused. So if you were gonna one-hit KO your opponent, do like 200 damage to him, you'll take 25 damage from high jump kick. As opposed to... You know what? We'll get rid of Double Edge for that, because he doesn't have stab bonus on Double Edge, and Double Edge is only 100 power. And he still has strength for, like, flying Pokemon or whatever, so he'll be fine. We can have both. Orcalo Nados. And here we are in the power plant. No Carbos, that raises speed. We'll use that on our Charizard, just because we can. Ooh, lots of items around here. Visit! Visit! A level 40 Voltorb. Okay, so apparently some of the items in here are level 40 Voltorbs. TM33, I wonder what that is. Alright, so there are random Pokemon around here. You can encounter Voltorbs, Magnemites, I think even Magnetons, and Electabuzz. But we've got the Repel going to save time, because we don't really care. And I don't remember which items are items and which ones are Voltorbs, but it's just more XP for our Hitmonlee. But this is the abandoned power plant, and I don't remember the in-world reason for why it's abandoned. I would assume because it got cut off from Cerulean City by some sort of landslide or something, since it's not in the city itself, and it doesn't seem to be connected to the city in any way. But that might just be, I don't know, somebody collapsed the rock tunnel, part of the rock tunnel mountain, to like separate it from the city because of some perceived danger or something. I don't know. But it's full of these Voltorbs that are really high level. And I'm wondering if they were being used to like power it or something, and they revolted or something. I don't know. I've never looked into the power plant lore of Pokemon Gen 1. I just know that there's this abandoned power plant, and it's here. And it's full of really strong electric Pokemon. I think the wild ones around here range from, that aren't the Voltorbs that are being mistaken for items. They generally range from like the low to mid 30s, I think. So like the best one you could catch around here is probably the Electabuzz, because he's got pretty good stats. But other than that, I don't really remember. Also, all the Voltorbs, every time you get into a battle screen, they just reset as if you didn't fight with them yet. And this one in particular right here is actually an Electrode. So if you want a fully evolved level 40 Electrode, without even having to... oh, level 43. You don't even have to catch a Voltorb. You can just get this Electrode instead. But, meh. Surprised they didn't self-destruct on us. But of course, the real reason to come here is PP up. No, that raises PP of a particular move. And to be honest, I think the best move to use it on from the movesets we're allowed to use is probably Hot Rod's Dig. There's several of those throughout the game. But the real reason to come here is yet another legendary bird. And it's Zapdos, and he is quite easily the best of the bunch. He comes with Drill Peck and Thundershock. And how is he slower than my... oh. Ouch. Oh. See why I don't like high jump kick? But he's electric flying, so he's immune to ground type moves. He has really high special, really high attack, really high speed, and decent defense. You can teach him Thunderbolt with a Thunderbolt TM, and he'll naturally learn Thunder. So he's really strong. I believe he learns Thunder immediately at level 51. So he is like the bee's knees of the Legendaries in Gen 1. But we're not allowed to catch him, and so he is dead. And that's it. We've been everywhere in Pokemon Gen 1. And so all that's left is the Pokemon League. And, but the episode's already, almost 2 hours long, so we'll finish up Gen 1 next time with the bonus dungeon of the post-game. So, thanks for watching, stay safe and have a great day, and I'll see you again next time for the last episode of Let's Play Pokemon Red version for the Pokemon's 30th anniversary.